Hello, chess family. It's me, National Master Jesse James, and today we're going to be taking a look at a very fun attacking game against the Caro-Kann. Yep, that's right. One of the most solid opening choices. We're going to look at a very fun idea to attack it. I like to play what's called the fantasy variation with the pawn to f3. I will point out real quick, I did get 2 double exclam this game as it was a very nice attacking game, and I even got a very nice performance rating of 3250. Let's go. All right, here we go. We started with e4, c6, the Caro, pawn to d4, pawn to d5, and like I said, we're going to go ahead and play what's called the fantasy variation. We play pawn to f3. I will be going over another game where I really go over more of the lines here. I'll go over them briefly for those who don't know it, though. And here, well, the main line, believe it or not, is pawn takes, and then pawn to e5. If you don't play pawn e5, like it's pretty amazing how many people don't know they play other moves. If you don't play e5 here, then black is just going to get into a bad game. So here, by playing e5, black gets to equality. And, well, let's go and continue here. You play knight to f3. And here, black has a few moves that get played the most, or the best moves they can play. In this one, he played bishop g4, which actually kind of transposes into a different line, the knight d7 lines, or basically just the knight f6 lines. So, yeah, bishop g4 is an okay move here. The one thing I will tell you is the other move that people play, e takes d4, is not a very good move. I typically play bishop c4 here, and white already has a distinct advantage here, which is pretty cool since you are down the pawn, right? The other move that you get, that you will see also here is knight to d7. Not a bad idea. After knight to f3, you see knight to d7 get played, and even this idea of bishop to e6, which I'll just let you know now, do not fall for the trap of knight takes on e5, as after queen h4 check, black is going to be in a very good position after this fork of attacking the king and the and the unprotected pawn. Anyways, back to the game. Here I played knight to f3, played bishop g4. It's a decent move. Like I said, it typically transposes into other lines. Here I played bishop c4 with a common little threat. Here I'm already threatening to play bishop takes f7 check. King takes, knight takes on e5 check, forking the bishop and this king. So knight d7 gets played, stopping the idea, because now the knight will take back and defend the bishop on g4. And here I just continue. Pawn to c3. Remember, the fantasy here is to have 2 pawns in the center, and, well, hopefully my fantasy goes through. All right, let's continue. Bishop to d6 gets played. Makes sense. Over protecting on this e5 square and saying do not take. That's okay. I wasn't planning on taking anyways. Here, let's go ahead and castle as soon as possible. Knight to f6, a good square. Queen over to e1. This is one of my favorite maneuvers to do. It seems like they don't like this move too much, or maybe they think it's a different way of doing it, but here I definitely like this idea. Queen e1 will either go to queen g3 or to h4, which we'll see in the game. All right, queen c7 got played. Again, a very standard move that can get played right here. They probably don't like this one as much because maybe e takes d4 might be a little bit more specific for them. That being said, I think queen c7 is just an okay move here. Again, it overprotects on e5, so, well, it's just good. It allows you to castle kingside or queenside, depending how feisty you're feeling in this chess game. All right, I played bishop g5. It really is probably the only good place for your bishop to move. Notice that we got to bring the knight out, but if you bring the knight out too fast, it'll just block the bishop. So you're looking for bishop moves here, and you say, where can you move it? Yeah, g5 is just going to be the only good square. And here he went ahead and castled. I will say some ideas that I do find annoying is something like h6 right here, and when I bring the bishop back to h4, g5, bishop g3, then they castle queenside. This has been annoying, although it is an attacking game, which I prefer to play, so it's just another way that they can play. Although I will say, if your opponent is playing the Caro, they probably are not the most aggressive chess player, right? They like to play nice and solid. That's why I like to play these aggressive lines against them. It's more psychological than anything else, although I do like attacking. All right, so he went ahead and castled. Knight to d2. I pretty much finished up my main development here, and, well, I like this because they're all in very good attacking positions. Here, rook to e8 gets played. Again, a move that you will see here very typically. The idea is to go ahead and put pressure on the e4 pawn. So now they're threatening pawn takes, and then the e4 pawn can get attacked. And, well, they don't like this move as much. They typically play b5 here first, which, as we'll see in the game, it's going to get played anyways. King h1, I like to play this move. There's many ideas later on, especially if you play something like d5 or even pawn takes. The bishop or the queen can check over here attacking the pawn. Bishop takes on f3. Rook takes on f3. Make sure, yes, I would have liked to have taken back thematically with the knight taking on f3. But if you play knight takes on f3, pawn takes, now you see this is exactly the idea they wanted, right? They're going to go ahead and put pressure on the e4 pawn. So that's why we went ahead and played rook takes on f3. Here, pawn takes on d4. Yes, this is a good idea. The idea is to put pressure on the e4 pawn, and so by taking, well, this is just going to happen. Unfortunately, they do make a little mistake here and allow me back into the attacking game. All right, c takes d4 because, well, I'm not going to just drop a pawn for nothing. Bishop to b4, and this was the mistake, as you can see. Here, the idea is to put pressure on the e4 pawn. Well, it's white to move. What do you play? At this point, I'm not asking for a move that's just crazy for attacking or anything, just a good position to move. What do you play here? Hopefully you found it. Here you get to play the good move of pawn to e5. Just a very good, solid move. What's this do? Well, first off, it takes away the attack against my e4 pawn. And second of all, it controls the center and attacks this knight. Why is this knight so important? Whenever you're attacking your opponent, there's two main weaknesses. Then whenever they castle, the main weakness is going to be h7. Whenever they're uncastled, it's f7. So now you see the h7 point is now going to become weak. How does e5 make h7 weak? Well, first off, my bishop's going to come back later on to attack on h7, which means now the diagonal's open, and now we're going to get rid of the main defender, which is the knight. If you can get rid of this knight in lots of games, you're going to have very good attacking chances. All right, well, my opponent played knight d5, a good move. I mean, the knight looks very happy here. But now we're going to go after that king. Here we go. Queen to h4, a move I love to play. It says there was another good move for me here, but here I'm very happy with this move. Remember I was talking about that h7 square? Now we see the idea of bishop d3 is going to come in pretty fast. I even have rook h3, and if they play h6, I am very ready to sacrifice a piece if needed, just so I can open up this king because, well, although their pieces look very well placed, mine are very well placed here too. Oh, I will point out e5 also gives another very nice idea. Knight going to e4, which is going to happen pretty soon. All right, here we go. Bishop to e7 got played. It makes sense here. You know, a lot of these Caro players are very, very solid players, and they know that, you know, hey, if they can just trade down to endgame, they should be winning, or at least they play into something that they're very much used to. I'm very happy to hear that. Bishop e7 gets played. How did you know I wanted to move my knight forward? Knight to e4 gets played. A good move. This knight not only gets closer to the battle, but also defends the bishop over here on g5. So if the bishop takes, well, I'm very happy for this. Knight takes, and now I'm threatening to take on h7 for checkmate. And remember, yes, they do have to move the pawn forward, but every pawn move forward now starts to make the game weak. All right, here we go. So back over here, knight to e4 got played. And here, well, knight to b6 gets played. Another very good move. The knight gets a free tempo by attacking the bishop, but hey, how did you know I want to move my bishop? The bishop goes to d3, and now my pieces are looking great, looking for the attack over here on the king side. And, okay, here we go. It was now black to move, and black goes ahead and plays. Queen to e7, again saying, please, oh please, can we make some trades? Well, it's white to move, and now I get my first double exclam of the game. What do you play? All right, hopefully you push pause, try to figure it out. Remember, I will attack if given the opportunity, and I did not miss mine. Here we go. Knight to f6, double check right here. I am willing to go ahead and sacrifice just to open up this king. And here he went ahead and played knight takes, and I can definitely understand why. If you play g takes on f6, well, it's a forced checkmate already. White to move, you go ahead and play rook g3 check. The king just goes to h8, and now we go to mate. Oh, dear Lord. So that's why they had to go ahead and play knight takes on f6. But I'm ready for this. Here we go. E takes on f6. Now the king side's definitely messed up here. No back rank checkmates. As you can see, my rook and the queen are both defending here. And, well, yeah, taking here will just not be a very good idea. So, queen went back to d8. The idea being, well, if you take, then I can take your queen. That's okay. I can still bring my pieces in and continue the attack. Here we go. Rook to g3 gets played. Now they cannot take on f6 because, well, if they do take, well, I'll just take back because this is called a pin, right, guys? So this would be a very easy way to play and checkmate in a few moves. And now I'm still threatening rook takes on g7 and queen takes on h6 for mate. So he went ahead and played the only move I think you could find, which was g6. Hopefully it doesn't take you too long to find this move. What do you play here? Dear Lord, let's crush through. Here we go. Bishop takes g6, my double exclam of the game. We're going to crush through here. And again, this is one of those offers that you cannot refuse, right? Con de Leon, right? We're playing over here as a mobster. You cannot decline this offer. You have to take, or else you're just going to get checkmated anyway. So pawn takes, rook takes on g6 check, king over to f7, and unfortunately this king's going to be running down the board, and we're going to get a nice checkmate. So it ends up being a king hunt here. And the rest of the moves are not too hard. Here we go. Rook to g7 check, king over to e6, rook over to e1 check. A nice move here, bringing in that rook finally. And, well, if you're developing with the rook check here, you know things have gone right. Here, the king went to d5. You might be asking, can't the king go to d6? It would have mostly ended the same way. I mean, in all these variations, it's going to be checkmate. If the king went to d6, then we can go queen f4 check, king d5, queen f5 check. And if the king now goes back to d6, it's just going to be checkmate in 1, which is pretty much close to how the game ended over here. In the game, after the king went to d5, I went ahead and played queen to h5 check, a little bit different from the f5 check here. And, well, the king played king over to c4. I mean, again, I don't think there was any other better moves. I mean, you're more than welcome to take the pawn. I have rook d1 check, if not just queen back over here, winning the queen at least. And, well, checkmate in 2. Do you see it? Not too hard. Here we just play queen over to c5 check. The king runs over to d3, and now we finish this one out with queen over to c3 for check and mate. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Remember, this was the idea about playing the fantasy variation. When they play pawn to d5, we play pawn f3 with the fantasy of getting 2 pawns to the center after pawn takes over here. This gives you really good attacking chances. And one of the things I like best about it, it's not well played, meaning not many people are playing it these days. It has not become popularized. And even if you have a good chess opening, if your opponent knows it very deep, it just becomes harder to play. So hopefully you guys check this opening and, well, get you to, I hope this gets you to some nice attacking games. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video.